Hello, Harry.
Oh, hi there. Hi.
We are again, and we're expecting Melissa
Back
uh,
on track,
uh,
yeah? Good.
and Philip. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Oh, there
Yeah.
he is. There he is.
Well, a spirited first 2 hours. I just learned something because I put that up. I thought it was very worthwhile. I put that up for re-recording, and we can only re-record 2 hours, and we were actually 2 hours and 5 minutes. So I'm going to have to do a little editing to put it up for later today. Um, so there we are. Right. Hello, Philip.
Hello.
There he is, yeah.
I had to disappear because as my wife, who's got an appointment in town, as soon as she left with her coat on, the heavens literally opened. So I thought it best to drop her in. Anything for a quiet life.
Right. Okay. Well, we are expecting Melissa very shortly.
Well, in the hope that she's still there. I mean, her email to me suggested she might have to go or something, or give up. But hopefully, my reply to her, which was, "Hang on, there's a new link on the way."
Yeah.
Hopefully, she'll get that.
Well, she's got a new link, so
Yes.
it's normally about 25 to that she actually comes on. So hopefully she is still there. But I think that normally the jamboree goes on until about sometimes 11:30. But I think that I didn't want to cut it short just at 10 o'clock, since it was the last one. So, Philip, you normally host this. How about getting us cracking again?
Well, I'll be delighted to get us cracking for the final time, although I'm hoping it's not the final time, because, to be frank with you, Keith, a la my previous text, I'm intending to start my own podcasts.
Yeah, excellent.
And I'm going to keep the team together. And it would be lovely if you would allow me. Well, would you swallow your blogging pride and anti-blogging pride and allow me to send you links to see if you'll join us?
Oh yes, I'm not against blogs. Don't misunderstand. I'm against me running a blog as such. I'm a television man. I only get excited by television, not by blogs. But I'm very happy to participate. Yeah.
Great. Well, it will be similar once I've got it set up to the old schedule. It'll be Harry and you on a Monday if Harry's up for it. John Prideaux at least once a fortnight, so I hope to have it set up for this Wednesday. And it'll be the same outlets. It'll be Facebook and YouTube. I'm waiting as we speak for YouTube to approve me, because I've signed in through my Google account. But it takes them 48 hours or more to make a decision.
Right.
There's Darth Vader.
My apologies, gentlemen, but it says my camera's not working because it says, let's see, your browser has lost connection to your camera. Have no idea why.
Refresh it, Melissa.
I did. I turned it on. I turned it off. I tried this. I tried that. So Darth Vader is the star.
Nice to hear your voice then.
Yeah, that's our only option here. I have no idea. It's never happened before. That's very strange.
Well,
but anyway, how's everything, gentlemen?
Well, Philip was just telling me about his plans for a blog.
Oh, good. Very good.
And I'm very happy to be part of that. Also, I'm quite keen to be slightly creative. And with AI, I've got one project on the go where I've actually got the first script, and now I'm going to start to look at how to cover the pictures and so on. But it's the story of a British noble family in 1900 in the village of Sheen, and their home is known as Upton Priory.
As opposed to Downton Abbey.
Right.
Very, very nice.
Upton Priory. That rings a bell. That rings a bell.
Harry, you will have stayed there undoubtedly. You've stayed everywhere that gets mentioned.
No, I'm trying to think of the famous naval officer from Upton Priory. Nelson was from Norfolk. Is it a major British naval hero, historical naval hero? Or? Upton Priory.
Well, I'm not sure, Harry, whether Upton Priory exists. It's a play on words of Downton Abbey.
Okay. That's where it's filmed, is it?
No, it'll be totally fictitious.
Oh, I see.
The interesting thing about John Prideaux has been giving me little tips and hints on his program for AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know what I'm like is that I always try to do things differently to they've ever been done before.
Yeah.
I am a great fan of the documentary The American Civil War. It was made by PBS.
By was it Ken Burns or no?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
He used stills. He used sound. There was virtually no video in it at all.
Yeah, a lot of it was just photos. It was a lot of
That's right.
Photos. Fantastic.
So I want to try and do this, which won't really, it'll only sort of be 10-minute long episodes, but I want to try and do it without using moving people, and yet still keep it interesting and vital.
Sounds like it's going to be awesome, Keith. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Well, I've already got them playing cricket on Christmas Day.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, the Civil War series was fabulous because what he did was, as you said, predominantly voiceover and photographs, but he also used reconstructions, and he also used snippets from the film Gettysburg, which was pretty good. Robert Shaw played Lee, General Lee. But on that very haunting tune, the Something Farewell, very memorable. It's a real earworm, that is.
Mm.
Well, oddly enough, there is an Upton House, Keith. There's an Upton House near Banbury in Warwickshire. It's a National Trust property, but it's nothing to do with a naval officer, Harry. It's the 1930s country retreat for Lord and Lady Bearsted, whoever they were. But it's a National Trust property that you can go and visit. Upton House.
Upton House, yeah, it rings a bell with me. There is an Upton House school in Macclesfield.
There is. Well, you're right. And that's where, ironically, that's where my sister lives.
Yeah.
Macclesfield. There is an Upton Priory School.
Yeah. Upton Priory School, I mean, yes, in Macclesfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There we are. Well,
that's the Civil War. Fort Sumter, attack on Fort Sumter, in April 1861, and final surrender to Appomattox Courthouse. and April the 9th, 1965. Yeah.
1865.
1865. Sorry.
I don't think it lasted that long, Harry.
Three days short of 4 years.
I think it's still going on.
Well, now that you've got a point there, Melissa, as ever. You've got a point, sadly. But
I'm quite
there was-
fascinated dealing with AI because you say to it, could you possibly write a little scenario for me about a family in the village of Sheen and so on? Of course I can, it says. Off it goes. It's terribly polite.
Oh, that makes a change.
Yes, it does.
I remember watching some time ago a movie I found purely by chance, I think on Netflix, and it was a really good movie. I say it was a movie. It was based on a true story about the first combat black regiment used by the Union in the Civil War. And at first they were regarded as something of a joke. And there was a lot of prejudice, even though it was the Union, the North. But as the film unfolds, they prove themselves in combat. And their first major combat role was to take one of the forts that the Confederates had captured. Their attack failed, but they were at the spearhead of it. And that gained them a huge amount of respect because until then, the blacks had been used for very, mundane duties, whether it was toilets or cargo or whatever, but there were no combat units. But it was a very good film, and of course, inevitably, I've forgotten the name of it. But I think it's something like the 96th. They were called the 96th, which I assume is a regiment. I don't know. I don't overly understand military terminology, but no, very interesting story.
It's interesting because I don't think the United States Army integrated blacks into regular military formations until after World War II had started. You had black regiments, but you didn't have blacks within joining partly in white regiments until very late. I think World War II may have started by then.
And
I think you'll find
and now the Secretary of the Navy is a black man.
Mm-hmm.
We've come along.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there are two things I remember from the early days of the Second World War when I was becoming cognizant of stuff around me. One, which I don't think would ever be allowed today, was that my auntie, who played the piano to music, got some musical copy, and the song was called "Chocolate Soldier" from the USA.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. And I can almost remember the refrain. Chocolate Soldier from the USA. Secondly, we live very close to the cathedral city of Lichfield and had relatives there. And towards the end of it would have been 1944 or 45, I guess, we went to visit. And a convoy came through town, a very, very long convoy. And my guess is that it was on the way south for D-Day. But almost all, in fact, totally all, the soldiers driving and apparently in charge and so on were black. And it never occurred to me as a little boy that there was anything unusual about this. It just shows that prejudice comes after from external sources.
Quite so.
Yeah.
that they were very, very popular with English women, very popular, which I have read caused great resentment
Yes,
amongst the white GIs,
that
they were very popular because generally the British women found them very courteous, very gallant. No, they were very popular.
Are you saying white men are not courteous in Britain?
I don't think courtesy goes with colour necessarily.
This is a hard question, Phil.
Well, they obviously found something about them that was slightly more engaging than perhaps the white GIs. I don't know, but that is historically correct. I've read, but there we are.
Yeah. Well, hierarchy certainly was in vogue in those days, because my cousins, because I was very small and the youngest of the group, would say, okay, you go on the roadside and say, got any gum, chum? And along came a man in a peaked cap. Aha, they said, that's an officer. He'll have chocolate. Go and ask him for chocolate.
Yeah, well, they did come over, again, to my knowledge, they did come over bringing all sorts of goodies that the Brits hadn't seen for years. You know, nylons for the ladies, chocolate for the kids, gum, you know, and we're a breath of fresh air. But boy, did we need them by that stage.
Actually, John Henty tells a story about, because he's just a couple of years older than I am, about his first banana. And I had an uncle, I think he was, in the Navy, and he very carefully brought me back a banana, carried it for God knows how far, and I took a bite and spat it out.
Obviously, an acquired taste for you, Keith.
Yeah. Well, banana is acquired taste, I suppose. Yeah.
So
how about you, Harry? Did you? What was your reaction to these things that the Americans brought?
Well, I think when I first, I too remember. Well, I don't remember the precise moment, but eating roughly the time when I ate my first bananas, and I loved it. Thought it was great. Yeah. What did we should put something on it?
Darth Vader just sneezed. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. No, I loved it. And
does this mean
very
you
good,
haven't
it's very
eaten
good for you.
a
It's not
banana
full of magnesium.
I thought they were full of potassium, Harry.
Oh, potassium is it? Yeah, that potassium.
Yeah,
that's right, not magnesium.
It regulates your
potassium. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nature's fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I eat them all the time because they're so easy. Because I'm very lazy. I'm a very lazy cook, as you can see from my as you could see from my ears, right?
Well, we can't see your ears. We can see Darth's.
Exactly. I cook the way Darth does.
It's funny how your tastes stay with you, though, from a very young age, because I can remember my grandmother taking me to the butcher, where I sang for an extra sausage. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are grey. You only know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't chase my sunshine away. But those sausages were 90% sawdust, 5% water, a little bit of colouring, and towards the end, a bit of meat. And to this day, that's the only sausage I can eat.
Yeah. Things can change. I mean, I hated sausages and I hated butter I loathed butter as a child. So I ate my bread and my toast dry, but that didn't last. And but it took some years for the taste to change, I have to say. But
All right,
I'm pretty.
I just all of a sudden everything just blanked out again.
What happened, Melissa?
I don't know. There's some goblins and ghosts and goblins in my phone.
Oh dear.
I think we call them gremlins.
Gremlins, yes, those two.
Your reference to butter there is interesting, because I recall that at the end of the war, when butter became available again, after we'd been eating margarine, my taste had adapted to margarine, and I had to weaned off it and put back onto butter. I didn't enjoy the butter. I was so familiar with the taste of margarine. I can remember that.
Well, that's the same as coffee. Chicory essence, canned coffee.
Yeah.
I could only drink that. I couldn't drink real coffee for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've got a bottle of camp coffee in the cupboard somewhere. My wife was making some coffee-based concoction that required camp coffee. I remember it was a hell of a job finding it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's sort of gone off the radar, really.
Yeah.
But you're saying that in your generation, camp coffee was very popular, Keith, was it?
It was the only coffee. You couldn't get real coffee.
Oh, right.
This was coffee. And as a matter of fact, the only real coffee, I suppose, I didn't have until I went to Canada for the first time. And I was, 14 or 15 then?
My wife has a very, very old close friend who married an American, a guy called Tom Ruoff. Ironically, they just sold up in Washington State, and they had a condo in a place called Bethany Bay. And they've sold up now that their American-born son is of age, because the friend, Delia, is very keen to come back to the UK to be with what's left of her family. So they're moving to Wales. They're moving to Brecon Beacons. I only mention that in passing because Tom, who worked for their equivalent, home security, it was. I suspect it was the American equivalent of our border agency, but he was pretty high up for years. He's retired now, but a funnier man you could not meet. Really, really witty. But the mention of coffee amuses me because he visited here quite a few times, and one time my youngest son, Oliver, who you've met, Keith, was into making different coffees, you know, lattes, flat whites, Americanos, or whatever. Anyway, he went out onto the terrace. Those were the days. It was stunning. Went out on the terrace and Tom, what sort of coffee would you like? You know, Americano. And Tom's cutting shit. Coffee. I just want coffee. Okay? Coffee. And Oliver was completely confused. What the fuck's coffee? Yeah. Really funny. He had none of this nonsense about espressos and Americanos. He just wanted coffee. Very funny.
That's what I'm having right now. Just coffee. It's easy. It's very easy.
So in the mug, I'm imagining it's the mug you usually use.
It's the Guantanamo Bay mug that Connor got me.
A Guantanamo Bay mug.
Yes.
Was there a terrorist inside it when you unwrapped it?
Well, he's probably very hot right now if he's inside my cup. I wish I could use my camera, but it just says I don't know. I have no idea.
Actually,
But,
Philip, Washington State, of course, I was, particularly the northern part, I was reasonably familiar with. You would have been too, Harry, because we could just pop down over the border.
Exactly.
But, Seattle is the first big city that you come to. So various trips to Seattle. And when I was back here in Northern Ireland with a group of journalists, we went courtesy of British Airways to Seattle. And showing off a bit, I said, oh, well, I know Seattle and the hotel we're staying in and some really nice taverns, and you've got to try an American tavern. And I turned right instead of left as we went out of the hotel. We kept going and didn't come across a pub at all. And it got deeper and deeper into the East End until in the end we did come to a pub, and it was on Skid Road. And we went in, and all these guys came and shook our hands and so on and so forth. And the one chap went to shake my hand and a Derringer popped out.
Yeah.
Just what you need.
Yeah.
But by the way, I've completely misled you. Washington State, of course, is in the west, the far northwest of America.
Yes,
what,
it is.
what did you say?
I said Washington State. I meant they lived in Baltimore, which is near Washington, D.C.
Not Washington State
Yeah,
at all.
it makes sense now because Homeland Security is in Washington, D.C.
That's it. That's the phrase. And are you familiar with Bethany Bay?
Yes. I was thinking, is there one in Washington State too? I'm like, okay. I've never been out to Washington State. I really have to explore my country more. It's very vast. So the whole thought of it, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to take a 5-hour plane ride.
Well, friends and neighbors of ours did a road trip. They did a Route 66 road trip.
Oh, that's cool.
Effectively following the line of the Blue Ridge Mountains, then back again. And they had a really good time. Really good time.
It's an amazing country. It truly is. I mean, just to drive down to Washington, D.C., which I'm actually taking that drive in a couple of weeks to help a friend who's going into surgery. It takes it's about 5 hours just to drive there, 5 or more. So it's quite a big country.
Nice.
I was very impressed, Melissa. When I came back to Britain in 1973, we drove down from Toronto, my wife's family, down to New York to catch the SS France. And so we drove the entire New York State and went on the back roads. We didn't go on the expressway. And what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state it is.
It truly is.
It's
really
Rip Van Winkle land. It's just magnificent.
It is gorgeous. I'm actually going upstate this weekend for a party, and it's autumn, and we just go crazy over autumn. Anything pumpkin, anything leaves. It's so gorgeous. It just truly is. It's a beautiful sight. So I'm excited just to drive up.
Well, the New England autumnal leaf colors are famous.
It's magnificent, really. And then the mountains, going up in the mountains, and I get a little nervous driving up there. So I do have to say, I'm like, oh my God.
Why do you get nervous, Melissa?
I don't like driving because there are some of those roads that I have to travel to get to my friend's house are right, way up there in what we call Bear Mountain. And it's very, very close to the edge, and you can easily just drive right off of it. So I'm like, oh my God, pay attention. No drinking will be done.
Tell me that there are sort of Ozark people in the mountains, not in mid New York State.
The Ozark Mountains, that'd be in Arkansas. I was
Yes. So I
I was
say,
there as well. I was there.
isn't there a range of mountains in New York State that are similar to the Ozarks, where there are people, that don't very often come out into society?
Yeah, like the Appalachians. Yeah, that's like
Appalachians, yeah.
West Virginia. Oh yeah, it's definitely backwater. You're like, where am I? Sounds like
Yeah.
the South. The South. You go down to Mississippi, you have no idea where you are. You just know there's a church a couple of yards away, and it's usually in a trailer park. It's crazy. It's a crazy place. Some of the it's just it's the differences. Oh, when I lived in Arkansas, that was insane. That was when I got to know Bill Clinton, because he was governor at the time.
All right.
Yeah, that was. I think my first story was someone killed his family. I was around Christmas. Yeah, it was crazy. That was insane. Like, really? This is why I came in too? Okay. It was really nutty, and it was very shady, very shady. But yeah, because it was Bill Clinton, and I always had to bring my tape recorder and microphone when I was in his office. I'd never turn it off, never. And he would call me.
When you say shady, you don't mean the weather.
Oh no.
You mean dodgy.
Very dodgy. I love the differences in our language. I really do. My boyfriend was talking about the other day about taking vitamins. I was like, what's that? What?
Vitamins.
Vitamins. Thank you.
Well, that's how you say it. I mean, to us, a hood is something you wear with a coat. Whereas
what?
to you, it's what we call the bonnet of a car.
Correct, the hood. Well, you can also call what you put on your head the hood, like a hoodie.
And the hood, of course,
put on your hood. Yeah, we also
there's the hood, as I understand it, which means the neighborhood.
Oh yes, in some neighborhoods, yes. So go back to the hood. I guess I can always say that too. Going back to the hood. Of course, my hood was Riverside Drive in New York City. It's a pretty nice hood.
How are Americanisms affecting the French language still, Harry?
Not to a great degree, I don't think.
I know our food.
I know there's a book.
I apologize for that. With the fast food, and from what I hear.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I guess there's words that have been integrated into it. Yeah.
I think Melissa means actually the food.
The actual food.
Has
been very influenced.
Fast food, yeah.
Contaminated France.
That's so sad.
Like it has everywhere, yeah.
Sure.
It's like here I'm trying to actually get back to the basics, like French food. Not all the sauces, but yeah, just to get back to the basics and savoring your meal and enjoying it with friends, and not just eating it while you're on the road driving.
Yeah.
I think
or eating it on your lap in front of the television.
Yeah, exactly. That's always kind of sad as well. It's nice to have that. It's almost ritual. It's nice to have that, because when you do it in a ritualistic way, you're paying attention to it. You're grateful for it. And we just throw it in our mouths, which is why we have such a high obesity rate.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got cardboard cutouts of Harry and Philip that I put at my dining room table so that I can sit there and pretend that I've got company.
You mean we don't put you off your food?
On the contrary, you attract me to the table.
I wonder if they ever just sit there with the food on their laps.
I'm not allowed to. Simple as that.
That's a good thing.
It has to be at the table.
That's actually
it can be at a different table to my wife.
Oh,
there are times when I'm in the dining room, which is why I do these broadcasts from, which has a nice circular table, and there's the table in the kitchen, and we often eat separately, but always at a table.
Yes.
And we don't do fast food.
Good. No, I don't either. I've stopped all of that. All of it. Just I completely changed everything. I think it was interesting because right before Connor left for the Navy, we really started getting into French food and French wine. This is why I want to visit the Hurrah, and I started to really adopt that way of eating. I did some research into it, and there was so much merit to it. So I've really kept a lot of those habits, sitting at the table, making sure it's properly set. We really do enjoy it more. You truly
Yeah.
do.
It
Even
becomes an
even if I'm
experience.
alone, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I mean, it really doesn't. So,
I
yeah.
mean, you
No,
mentioned the Gironde. It's really to the east and south of the Gironde that you would love in terms of wine. I mean, like following the route of the River Loire,
Ah, yes.
or the Rhone, the Côte de Rhône villages, the village, the Beaujolais. The Gironde is simply a large estuary which feeds into Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bordeaux is a big wine centre.
Right, right.
I'm sure if I'm getting this wrong, Harry will put me right, but Bordeaux is a wine-based town, but there are no vineyards in Bordeaux. You've got to go well outside into the country before you start getting to the actual vineyards themselves.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you've got vineyards. Of course, the famous vineyards are either side of the Gironde, which is the estuary of the Garonne. And
Yes,
as
exactly.
the river passes through Bordeaux, it changes its name to from Garonne to the Gironde, the estuary. And on the southern side, you've got the famous wines, the Medocs and what have you, and Saint Estèphe, all of that collection of very, very fine wines. And on the other side of the Gironde, you've got the Côte de Blaye, which are lesser wine, but they can be good. They can be very good. And then, of course, moving up country from the Gironde, you get into Saint-Emilion country, which is
yes. Yeah, so I think Connor and I, when he's on leave, we may have to take a tour, like a formal tour.
Well, you should do. I mean, if there's one town I would suggest you start from, it's where I used to work, and it's called Libourne, Libourne.
Oh yes, Libourne, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now Libourne, unless it's changed, was really quite a hub because you had the Médoc, you had Pomerol, and you had Saint-Emilion, all within easy driving distance. So I would recommend that as a starting point, Melissa, as opposed to the city of Bordeaux. Bordeaux's worth a visit, but it's you're not really in the centre of the vineyard country.
Was this just to analyze a good visit to France or to the vineyard, to the wine countries?
I think her mic's gone.
Yeah.
Melissa.
Oh, my mic, is it back on?
It is.
Now
now.
you're back on.
It is back on. Okay.
So we're looking at a possible itinerary for a wine tour, or
we have to really do some research. Right now, he's in the thick of it with the officer training. They're considering, because he's got that. I don't know if I mentioned, he's got astigmatism, and so they're questioning whether pilot is a possibility unless he gets LASIK surgery, which he would have to leave and then reapply, which makes no sense since he's been through all the training. So they might make him the public affairs officer or the foreign area officer in Tokyo. So we'll have to see. He's kind of in the thick of everything. So I get a little message from him every once in a while. But yeah, so I think once he's on leave and settled, we're definitely going to do something for sure.
But he's still flying, Melissa.
No, they're not flying. They wouldn't have flown yet. They have to, he's got to become an officer first.
Right.
So that what they discovered, which I wish they had discovered prior, that he has astigmatism, and so they are kind of looking a bit down on him in terms of being an actual pilot, and more toward his experience, as a journalist and doing public affairs instead. Right. So I told him, I said, listen, just do whatever they give you for now, because, you could always get that surgery when you're in, and when you're an officer, and then do a lateral transfer into the aviation community.
Right.
So, listen, I said, you're going to be in there for a while anyway. Who cares? You got to do something while you're there. So he was definitely disappointed, had not realized he had astigmatism.
Well, I find that extra. I mean, I really feel for the boy, because I was diagnosed with an astigmatism from a very early age in my right eye.
Yeah, in fact, it's his right eye. And here's the funny thing. And I'm like, well, I have astigmatism and I have glasses that correct it. So what's the problem?
Same here.
Like, can we just be logical and simple here, folks? Just give them glasses, whatever. But they're very picky.
Maybe they don't like the idea of their Top Guns wearing glasses.
Yeah, I don't know what their problem is. They're just being ridiculous. It's like almost like they're back decades ago when they couldn't correct it. I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing, but I just told them, just go with the flow, and you can always. I said, don't give up. I mean, why would anybody give up anything unless they are scared they can't make it?
No, he mustn't give up. He mustn't give up. And you see, over here, when I was growing up, the colloquial phrase for an astigmatism was a lazy eye.
Ah, lazy eye. Well, I've got two of them. So.
Well,
I have a lot of lazy things, quite frankly.
I've never ever got that impression of you. I regard you as a bit of a human dynamo, frankly.
Well, it's funny. Maybe it's the standards. Maybe my standard for being lazy is my standard for being lazy is, oh my God, I left a spoon in the sink. So
yeah, there are different levels.
My standards are fairly high when it comes to that, but
yeah, I think so. But no, I mean, all the astigmatism means is that the eye and its muscles are essentially out of alignment with the other eye.
Yeah, it's possible. I told him that what's so funny is the day that he told me this and was quite upset about it. A couple of hours before, I spoke to a friend of mine who talked about actually getting LASIK surgery for the astigmatism, and that she had the best doctor in New York. And I'm like, oh, well, good for you. And then all of a sudden, Connor tells me about it. I'm like, oh, good. I might need that doctor.
Oh, God, it'll cost a fortune.
It will cost a fortune, probably. Yeah, maybe upwards of $10,000.
I mean, all that money you've been religiously saving.
Well, it just keeps growing, Phil, so it's okay.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of money. I just love to watch it. It's a game. It truly is just a game, guys. It really is. I guess because I'm in this business. I'm in the business. I help wealthy people become more wealthy. I don't know why I'm doing that, but it's funny to watch. It's just funny to watch. I'll tell you.
I don't know why you're talking to us three then.
Because it's nice to talk to real people.
But you make it sound like horticulture, like you're watching your plants grow.
Yeah, well, it really is like that. I'll tell you. It truly is. It's insane. It just is. It's crazy. But
it sounds it. It sounds it. It's a
well. I think
world.
Especially if I guess I've always, since a young child, I've always been so intrigued by the markets, and I look at the investing in the stock market as you're investing in your economy, right? Because your economy is made up of a bunch of companies, correct? and they need money to run. And so they go to the public market and you buy a little bit of shares here, little shares there. And then the market goes up, the market goes down, the market goes up, the market goes down. When the market's down, you buy more. There you go. It's on sale.
Well,
I
our
always
resident,
I always tell everybody,
our
oh,
resident
great, the
economist
market's
is
on
Harry.
sale. I'm going to buy more. And that's how you do it. I mean, it's really very simple. And they like to make it complex because then they can justify their huge salaries.
Harry, what's your view on all that?
On a view on
What's your view on what Melissa has just described?
about investing in the market?
Yes.
Well, I tried it once years and years ago in Vancouver. I invested in the. I borrowed $1,000 from the bank, and I bought some penny mining shares. But to be safe, I bought shares in McMillan Bloedel and one or two of the other big companies that were pretty stable. They went, like Melissa says, up and down for a year. Every day I was spending time, looking at the stock market reports. And at the end of the year, the safe gilt edge shares had gone down, and the penny mining stock had gone up and compensated for the loss. And I came out of it equal with $1,000 at the end of the year. I didn't lose anything. I didn't make anything, but I went through the experience.
I think it's really through the volume and it's the diversity.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a mutual fund that's based on your top 500 companies, like an S&P 500 index,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have, like last year, for example, it was up 26%. So if you were invested, then you benefited, and you've got to stay invested. You can't just jump out when things go south. What do you think the most wealthy people do when things go south? They're ready to buy more because they're buying at a lower price. It's like you go to the supermarket and you buy a bunch of bananas on sale because you love bananas. You're not going to buy at the highest price. You're going to try to buy at the lowest price. It's just basic. It's really just basic economics. Basic math, but people like to complicate it. It's not complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't. Now, when you deal with taxes and all that stuff, it gets more complicated.
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? A down market is a buyer's market.
It's a buyer's market. I mean, I remember very specifically during 2000, well, I made a lot of money in 2008 because I had cash from a real estate deal and I threw it in the markets because everything was at, all the prices of these major companies were at single digits. My God, so I bought as an example, I bought a bunch of Ford Motor Company at 2, and then I sold it at 10. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just basic. So it's basic math. And I like I said, they like to complicate it, and it just isn't complicated. And I think there's also a philosophy involved in it too.
When I was at Reuters, because I actually knew,
and I honestly don't even get involved in debt products because I hate debt. I don't like the fact that my country's spending too much money, and that they're going into incredible deficits and ballooning the national debt. So I don't even go into treasuries, honestly.
Well, thank God you're not
I do
British.
equities. I do equities. I've done very well with them, and that's it. Like I said, when it's a downturn, there's also opportunity if you're doing tax sheltering and things like that. But anyway,
when I was at Reuters, because I knew the chairman of the Vancouver Stock Exchange, I took a team to investigate a story that Bradford City Council had invested in a diamond mine on the Vancouver Stock Exchange, which is the most unregulated in the world. And when we got out there, we discovered that it was a bedding company in East Vancouver.
Anyway, back to Melissa, back to language. Unless I've misheard you, I've heard you use the word autumn, and
Yes.
Americans call it the fall,
Yes, we call it the fall.
but you used the word autumn.
Um,
Was that in deference to us Brits, or do you
no,
usually
no,
call it?
actually, I think when I think of, the leaves and the beauty, I just use the word autumn. And for example, the song Autumn Leaves or Autumn in New
Yes,
York,
well,
those
exactly.
wonderful old songs. So I often will use autumn as a result of that, a little old fashioned.
Or in French, as Harry may confirm, feuille d'amour. Is that right, Harry? Autumn leaves.
Say again.
Feuille d'amour. Leaves of death.
I can't catch it yet. What's it?
It doesn't matter. I'm shouting at you, and you're not hearing me. Sorry.
No, I'm thinking. You said something in French, no, didn't you?
Yeah, the French word for leaves.
Oh yeah, feuille.
D'amour.
Feuille morte is dead leaves. Yeah.
Yes, but that's the French for autumn leaves, isn't it?
Feuille morte.
Feuille d'amour.
No, feuille d'automne would be a direct translation. Feuille is leaf,
Okay.
and automne is autumn. Feuille d'automne, but feuille morte is dead leaves. Yeah, but you're thinking perhaps of another expression.
No, don't worry. I've obviously it's come from me listening to music. I mean, Autumn Leaves is a very famous song.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Autumn in New York.
Yes, and I've seen it translated into French as feuille d'amour, but I've obviously misunderstood. But the other word I think you used, Melissa, was you used the word maths.
Maths?
M-A-T-H-S.
No, I don't think I've ever used that word.
M-A-T-H-S.
I might have just slurred my words a little bit. I'm taking you gentlemen in a car ride, by the way.
You're taking us where?
A friend of mine is having surgery, so I'm gonna take her over.
Oh, so you go. Oh, right. Well, don't drive speaking to us.
Why not?
Okay, up to you.
Yeah, I'm just. I would. It's either speak to you or talk to myself. So.
Well,
I quite frankly just find some of my thoughts absurd.
what are the cell phone laws as to driving over there?
There are no cell phone laws about driving. Oh, I mean, you can't obviously texting. If I were to pass a police officer right now, he would just think I was talking to myself. So, but if it's got to be, so I have you right now on a little device, so it's hands free. That's what it has to be. If one of your hands is texting, then you're going to get a fine.
Right. So
you're right now on a little device, and we are about to go over the very famous, Tappan Zee Bridge, which was then named after a former governor, Mario Cuomo, who I could not stand. And I call it the Tappan Zee Bridge. Thank you. It's a very beautiful bridge, truly. And hopefully it doesn't collapse as I drive over it.
We've got a program of you covering the opening.
Yes, I did. That was so much fun. It was so beautiful. It's gorgeous at night. The lights.
Well, it's in the archives somewhere.
Yeah, it was really lovely. I mean, they did a wonderful job on it. I wish they had put a rail on it, but yeah, whatever. Oh my! Do you know that my blinker is still on? Have you ever done that? You kept your blinker on. You look like a fool.
Yeah, loads of drivers are here do that, or they just don't use them at all. See, we call them indicators.
Want to get me a beer, man? English.
Well, I think that probably we're coming to the end of the program. we've covered an awful lot. Thank you very much for joining me on the final day, as it were.
Well, it's the final day of Mirador, but it's not the
Yeah.
final jamboree. Because if
Yeah,
I get my
you gotta keep jamming. You gotta keep jamming.
hopefully I will have my podcast. I'll have my own streaming channel up, certainly by this time next week. So watch out for your usual links.
Yeah. What streaming service are you going to use?
The same as you,
You're
Facebook
gonna
and
use this?
YouTube. Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, no, but I mean, are you going to use StreamYard?
Yes.
Ah, right,
Yeah. I'm going to open my own StreamYard account.
right, okay.
Did you hear me, Harry?
Yes, I did, and I'm thinking we'll obviously talk or exchange messages between now and then as to, you know,
Yes.
to get a little bit more precision as to, you know, where we should be and when. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it'll be set up in time to have you back on Monday, Harry.
Mm-hmm. So Monday is off, but Wednesday, but sort of Friday we couldn't be back on then. Is that correct?
I'm determined that we all get back together on Friday.
Excellent. Okay, good show.
So I'll get you and Keith on at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Mark may be on at 10.
Mm-hmm.
And Melissa whenever she feels like joining us.
Super.
Yeah, 10:30 or maybe a little bit earlier, actually.
Yeah, well, whenever you can, that would be great.
Okay.
The only question is, how is Keith going to join us? Because will he go to the Black Horse, or does the computer at home work now, Keith?
Well, it will by the end of next week, I think. So I can probably do it from home, but I may want to join deck, a couple of times a week. So I'll probably come down here.
Well, that would be nice because I like seeing the pub.
Right.
Yes. We can all become surrogate drinkers.
Yes, quite. Well, no, I'm not a surrogate drinker. I'm actually drinking at the moment, Harry. But I heard you craftily ask your lovely wife for a beer.
Yes, I did. It's lunchtime. That's my aperitif, and not on top of that, it's an English beer. Let me do a little bit of publicity here. It's Shakespeare.
Oh, Breakspear. Oh, I love Breakspear.
Breakspear. Do you know that beer?
Oh, God, do I know it. Wow, draft Breakspears was my favourite.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So I've got a friend from Newark, which isn't far away from you.
No.
Who's doing up a little house here. He has been now for 12 years, and he never gets it finished. I think it's the journey, not the destination, that interests him. And with Brexit, he's limited in his time that he can spend here in France without having to become part of the French tax system or whatever. I'm a permanent resident, so I don't have that problem. And so he has to go back and forth. And every time he goes back, he brings me a 6-pack case of this beer.
Fabulous.
which I pay for, of course. But it's excellent. It's a little bit of a taste of Britain.
No, it's a lovely beer.
Yeah.
Harry, you mentioned about your domicile. Have you seen your notaire about what we discussed? Have you seen your notary?
Yeah, I've heard that. I'm trying to remember what we discussed now.
Well, the state of the do you need 1 will, 2 will, properties in England, properties in France?
And
you asked me whether the French could, as it were.
Oh, right, and yeah, inheritance. That's correct. Yeah. No, I haven't got any further on with that at the moment. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because you see, if I didn't want my will to be subject to French law.
Yes, yeah. I didn't mean to open this up in public. I just wanted to know whether you yet spoken to your notary about it.
No, I
need
haven't
to.
as yet. No. But I will do. I will do. I think what I'll probably do is liquidate everything I've got here so that I won't even bother with a French will.
Right. Well, I'll ask you for a loan, then I can hide that money for you.
Yes. Okay.
No, that was a very bad joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
gents. I'll see you both this time next week.
And so we'll talk during the week by phone or by email, and we'll be all ready.
You don't like me ringing you because you think it costs you money. So if you can always ring me.
Okay.
But at the very least, I will email you all to let you know.
Yeah, keep us in touch by email, and I can call you when necessary.
Okay. Okay, Keith. Have a good rest.
Okay. Well, thank you all for supporting Mirador for so many years, and it is the final day.
And thanks to our viewers and to our viewers. And to our viewers,
thanks to the one man and his dog.
Express our good wishes to them all.
Adieu.
Adieu, mes amis. Voilà. So.
Right. Bye, Harry.
Okay. Bye,
Melissa.
And we'll talk, Keith, by telephone, I think.
Yes, we will.
Okay. Good man.
Okay.
Cheers
Bye-bye.
now. Bye, Melissa.
Bye, Melissa.
See you later. See you
Bye.
later, alligator.
Well, there you are, as the last gasp of Mirador television and end of an era. If other things spring out of it, great, and we'll follow up with that. So for the moment, it is Toodle Pip, I think. Yes, here we go. Toodle Pip.